Well, I have participated in the last COP in Nagoya, and I was really surprised, positively surprised, how well it went with the Nagoya Protocol, with the IG targets, and I was really impressed that Nagoya was the first COP, biodiversity COP I have participated in, and our aim was to facilitate, in the framework of our project activities, as much as possible a spread of the messages from the Nagoya Protocol and from the IG targets in the implementation of the Convention of Biological Diversity in the other ASEAN region. So we were invited, besides participating in the COP itself with side events and so on, we were also invited to provide inputs to the Go for Biodiv Youth Forum, which is under preparation in this moment in the Indian Sundarbans, with 35 youth, of which 7 are from the ASEAN region and came through our project. And we are quite proud that we were able to contribute to this event.
Since you look at the 10 countries of the ASEAN, most of them are going through the economic stage of either of development. Most of them are developing or underdeveloped. But in all of them, there's a lot of pressure on the biodiversity as far as economic growth is concerned. How do you see it adding to the challenge of economic growth while we're also talking about biodiversity conservation vis-a-vis other countries of the West?
Vis-a-vis other countries on the West, in general in the West, less people, a smaller proportion of the population is involved in land use like agriculture or forestry. That makes it easier to release pressure on land use from the protected areas or from the nature. On the other hand, the pressure from industrial development and from air pollution and so on is bigger in the industrialized countries. When it comes to the ASEAN region, this is very diverse. You have Singapore as a developed country, and you have, on the other extreme, you have Myanmar, which recently opened up to cooperation with international aid organizations and with a relatively low GDP, where many people, like in other countries in ASEAN, many people depend on natural resources for their livelihood. And in this respect, our message is: be careful using your natural resources. Your children still have to live off them, and the natural resources are not available without limits. So you have to be conscious about this. And this goes, of course, not from our center or from our project to the people, but it goes through the government agencies in the 10 member states. It is a relatively complicated approach, but our aim is this way to be able to contribute to the roadmap of ASEAN, to the roadmap, in this case, roadmap 2015, to create an ASEAN that is an organization and a group of countries that are working together in the favor of their economies and of their people and of their biodiversity natural resources.
Talking about engaging all the stakeholders, in general, we look at two most important stakeholders, the government and the communities who are impacted. But lately, private sector players are also counted as an important stakeholders. How easy or how challenging has it been to involve them in the process of biodiversity conservation?
It is, particularly in the framework of a regional project, is a long process to get involved from the project point of view, involved with the private sector. On the other hand, the ASEAN Center Biodiversity in the recent past has worked with several private agencies. They have participated, for example, in the biodiversity contests, best case presenters, and have also been awarded. I couldn't I couldn't tell you in this framework, I couldn't tell you names, but there's also one company here that is advertising that they have received an award from the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity. So there are ways. It is on this, at this level, it's an incentive, but we intend also to do studies and study the cases of possible involvement of business directly in our project activities in the member states. But again, it is beyond our possibilities to work on the ground ourselves. We have to go to the governments of the 10 member states and through them with the local government units and with the people and with the local NGOs.